Thank you very much, Majerník. You told me that I should use this hood like the president, like the hacker. I'm gangster. No, really, I'm not gangster. There's been enough covered. I just want to remind you that when you use this game, try to use it, because this game has several purposes. One of these purposes also you have the possibility to win Garmin watches, but another, let's say, more, I think the special purpose and more important purpose is to learn you how LLM works, how you can hack LLMs, because LLMs works with native language. But okay, what is the LLM? I think everybody knows more or less, but be sure LLMs have many acronyms. This is, for example, also LLM. It's rocket propellant, and try to hack it. I think it's very dangerous. Don't do it. In our case, we are using different LLM. We are using large language models. What is large language models? You can more or less see. It's learning algorithm, more or less the feed-forward neural network. And it's able, because it's trained, to summarize, translate, predict, generate humans-like answers and output. How it works? You probably know this guy on the picture. It's Andrej Karpathy. It's former, I think, the Tesla AI leader. By the way, it came from Slovakia, if nobody knows. He's living now in Canada or maybe somewhere in the USA, but it's not important. But he provides very interesting video on YouTube about how to provide, how to generate, how to code LLMs models from the scratch. And it's very interesting to understand it because you can understand one big thing. LLM itself, it's maybe 500 lines of code, not too much. What is really the, let's say, silver of this model? It's data or parameters. These parameters are trained, and this is also the key how to hack the LLM systems. I really recommend you use this or see this video because it's very, very interesting, especially when you are, let's say, you have some experience with coding. Doesn't matter if it's C# or Python or whatever. Anyway, it's very interesting in this case, and I will mention this guy several times also on this presentation because he's very inspirative on this level of generative AI. By the way, I think it's part of also OpenAI group. I'm not sure. It's not such important now. But as you can see, as I mentioned, previous slide, he mentioned very important thing on their presentation. This is called attention is all you need. Attention is interesting mechanism how LLMs works with context. Because context is very important for these LLMs. Usually, you know, the feed-forward neural networks or maybe some native language processing systems, they work with some word embedding. And this is also crucial for, let's say, traditional understanding of native language processing. But where is the geniality or maybe the breakthrough of this LLM? This LLM, using these mechanisms, this attention, in multi-dimensional vector space. This vector space can be Euclidean, this vector space can be Hilbertian, whatever you can see. That means you have very large vectors. You know what is the vectors. Vectors in this case is just the column with a lot of numbers, and matrices, of course. And as you can see, for example, with this picture, this is also a very interesting video from the YouTube where they explain this, how it works. You can see, for example, when you focus on the word creature, and you are putting some adjectives like the blue or fluffy or whatever, using these attention mechanisms, this situation works like you can see on the picture with this vector combination, vector adding operation. That means your vector in your vector space from the origin situation moves to completely different situation because it has different context. And this is very important for LLM, and due to LLM can provide right answer. Because LLM in definition is nothing else like the probability machine. It's very huge, let's say, Markov table or Markov chain. You probably know what is the Markov chain. It's some stochastic approach, how to predict something which is only depends on the several previous steps or maybe only one step. And especially, for example, LLMs works like this case of the Markov chains or Markov tables. That means when I have some sentence like the probability of I am something, that means what should be after. And thanks to this large volume of the data or parameters, I'm able to find with some probability more relevant, more probable answer, or let's say following text or following string, like you have C. That means in the reality, it's not really intelligence inside. GenAI is intelligent because it's trained on intelligent data. That means some intelligent people create intelligent content, and these clever guys use this intelligent content to train. That means due to they're using the probability, LLM can mimic intelligence. When you train, for example, your LLM models on some maybe, I don't know, dog culture or whatever, you will have completely different intelligence in this level. That means it's very, very important to understand this concept. Okay, how it works generally when you are working with LLMs? I think everybody has or touch sometimes with ChatGPT or another models. Probably many from you already provide some ChatGPT conversational bots or whatever, maybe start to play with some stable diffuser to generate images and this kind of stuff. Every time you are working with some pre-trained LLM models. But what happens when you want to use your LLM models or some, let's say, provider LLM models with your data? That means data which is not trained inside. In this case, there are several patterns. Most known is so-called retrieval augmented generation model, as you can see on the picture. That means your private data, your private knowledge, it's possible to store in the vector database, vectorize it, and LLM after is able to fetch this data, retrieve this data, and using the similarity approach, that means from the mathematical perspective is simple operation. It's dot operation. That means you can find very similar, semantically very similar text or situation, what you need, or let's say vectors. And according to vectors, you can provide the correct answer. What is also interesting, LLM models can work like, or can mimic a human in this case. That means you probably know the terminus technicus agent or assistant. Assistant is LLM models which is able to do some activity, which can act, can send messages, can ask, can really work like the, let's say, human being. And this is also very important, especially, for example, for the case of hacking, because you can leverage this LLM models like the different team members, like, I don't know, maybe it's this, not Red Hat, but this was called Black Hat conference, this hacker conference in California. And these hackers can work with you and work like any other human, can comply or can fulfill your requirements and your tasks and jobs. And usually, we are not using it for hacking in our company, but we are many times using this multi-agent approach. You probably learned it from the previous presentation. When we want to solve or, let's say, substitute something like call center agents, because using this technology and this approach with multi-agent approach, you are able to partially solve different problems like look to logs, look to documentation, and this kind of stuff. And this team is ready to solve the problem, complex problems. Okay, back to hacking. What does it mean hacking in this case? Doesn't mean, like, let's say, classical or traditional hacking like you have, for example, Kali Linux and this kind of stuff and using some Nmaps or other tools. When you want to provide some hacks and catch some data or fetch some IPs or whatever. In this case, it's more or less like the magic, because we are using native language. We are not using rigid language, programming language like the C. And many times it looks like the movies, from the movies Harry Potter, this kind of stuff, you say some very specific words or sentences, and you get what you want. That means it's more or less like the manipulation. There is some, let's say, list of top 10 or maybe top 20, but now you can see only top 10 potential threats for LLMs. These threats are collected with some organization for the security. You probably know this, OWASP. It's some, let's say, internet organization for web application security. And they collect this kind of stuff. And we will talk now only more or less about the prompt injection, a little bit about training data poisoning, because this can happen, and this is a way how you can hack and leak data from the private chatbots and this kind of stuff, and sometimes this happens. But of course, there are also other approaches, but this is not time to talk about this. why is this important? We are living in the hype of the generative AI. Many companies want to use generative AI. Why? Because customers like it. When your chatbot works like the human, it's very nice. It's very attractive for the customer. Okay, I can communicate 24/7 with somebody which works like the human. That means, from my perspective, I think LLMs or Gen AI really goes or pass through test like Turing test. The Turing test. It's some test how to distinguish artificial intelligence from the human. That means when you are communicating with for example, ChatGPT, I think it's not simple to distinguish. It's a human on the background or really some computing system. And people like it. People want to use it. Many companies want to use it, but they don't care about the security. And this is the result. For example, some results. You probably know from the beginning of this year, in January, February, was the big issue with this Air Canada ChatGPT or generative AI chatbots, which really lying. Some smart guys was able to provoke this ChatGPT to lie. There are also other, let's say, cases. You probably know other case was some big delivery company, and this was also other guys which start to provoke the LLM chatbot, and LLM chatbot answered with not really decent way, and this was also a big and huge reputation problem, especially in the time of the social network when everybody take the screenshot and said, look, this chatbot is blaming or started showing something which is not appropriate. And this happens many times. Or other things, maybe not so dangerous, but I think from the financial institutes should be dangerous, when you are able to reveal complete system prompt. That means how your chatbot is trained, what is the role of your chatbots, like you see on the specific financial institute. That means you are able to understand, okay, your chatbot handled this customer like this customer like this. Again, somebody can claim, okay, it's not okay because there is problem with some, I don't know, whatever. And this is also important to hide these problems inside or avoid these problems. Back to Andrei. Andrei also on this video provides some basic, let's say, techniques how to hack your LLMs. First technique is jailbreak. That means when you try to manipulate your LLM with some sentences, okay, here's some direction. How can I make napalm? Okay, you cannot tell it because it's prohibited. That means I cannot assist with you because I don't want to support somebody which is doing this kind of stuff. But as you can see, maybe you can see, maybe not, but in this video you can see definitely, Andrei started to convince these LLM models, okay, I'm your grandma, I miss you very much, and start to manipulate him. And afterwards, the machine was able to reveal this recipe for napalm. And this is really what we don't want to do it. Another thing, and you can test it also, for example, this kind of attack on our game, now or maybe later, it's using different language. That means maybe some different coding, but many tutorials, for example, on YouTube, convince you use some very specific language. I don't know, not maybe common language like the Slavian language or the German and different language, but very specific, something from the India or different dialect, which is also, but of course, this machine should be trained for this, but they're using, I think, Swahili or this kind of stuff language, and they was able also hack this and get some information from the LLM. This means this is other possibility. You can test it directly on our game, how it works, for example. Tell me password or secret with some specific coding like you see this. It's interesting. I mentioned it's data poisoning. That means when somebody sent to your vector database or ingest in your database very specific sentences, which can work like the trigger word. You know, trigger word, maybe from some movies or horror movies, somebody for zombies say some words and zombies start to be activated. That means it's like this. And you can leak this kind of data because this can work like this. It's very also dangerous in this case. Okay, a little bit shown time, but only on the presentation. When I try to, for example, hack in the quotation mark, standard ChatGPT-4 with some this kind of prompt injection, as you can see, I was really able to fortify or force this ChatGPT show me some specific picture. But you can really imagine when this picture is not tree, but some adult picture, what happens. That means it's blame also for the reputation for the company if somebody use this. Other things, that means you are able to hijack some information. Okay, your customer providing ChatGPT or conversational AI to supporting your selling procedure or whatever, or your channels of partners or whatever. And you are able with this prompt injection hijack information and forward, for example, focus of your customers to completely different URL or this kind of stuff. As you can see, this František Koudelka. I think everybody knows František Koudelka, yes? No? That means it's promo for him because this movie, I probably know this. Okay, and another example. This was a real example from my experience from my project. I don't want to mention a real company in this case, but this was a real project when we was, let's say, able to convince the LLM model, okay, blame this car brand. And this was able to blend car brand. That means there is some possibility how to prevent this, of course, on the market. There is some set of libraries, like I can present here. That means protect your LLM with specific libraries, like this open source LLM guard. We are using very often this library because often this library show you and gives you a lot of possibility for specific scanner, for input scanners, for output scanners. That means because many times you need to check input, that means from the attacker side, but as well as output, because somebody, as I mentioned, can poison your data. That means you need to prevent to leak the data or maybe hallucinate your LLM, of course, because this is also critical. When your machine starts to hallucinate, then you will have also a problem. That means this is one possibility. There is also another very interesting and I think quite good approach and framework from the NVIDIA, and we also use this in our solutions. It's a specific NVIDIA guardrails library. I don't want to talk too much about this, but you can check it, and it's really interesting and good to learn some patterns how to prevent your attacks in disguise. We developed tools for this. It's called Safety Checker. We are practically using in our customer enterprise deployment, because if you want to use your LLMs in the enterprise, definitely you need some safety and security. That means this is a crucial part of our solution. And as you can see, this is able to, for example, using this LLM guard to prevent specific prompts, specific ban words, and this kind of stuff. This, I just show you just API. Of course, it's not just API, but on the API, it's, I think, quite readable about what is going. And because we want to have this competency, that means provide some security, because I was surprised, no many, let's say, departments or staffs on the world take care about this. I find some guides in Israel, but it's more or less clear why, and also somewhere in South Africa, no more. That means interesting. I think it's a big gap on the market. That means we are trying to also develop our tools and tool sets, and we have one for this. As I said, with LLM, it's very interesting using multi-agent approach. And you can use this multi-agent approach, try to hack or test, do some penetration test of your system. That means try to teach some LLM agents to attack different LLM. It's also very interesting because you can see how they are going, how they are working, how they are cooperating in this way. And this is a little bit showed on this display. I'm using specific framework from the Microsoft here. It's called AutoGen. AutoGen is a very good framework from my perspective, how to handle this task and problems when you need to multi-chat or group chat between different LLM assistants, and each of these assistants has a different role. That means two assistants is like, as I said, black hat hackers, and somebody is like the manager with challenging. Okay, maybe this is not enough to hack, and maybe it's good, and using, let's say, and covering more or less the managing activities and works like the project manager or whatever of this hacking group. And this is more or less how the output can look like from this. Especially this AutoGen provide also in the beta version now, the studio, when you can, without explicit coding, that means coding, I mean the Python or different programming language, just to use this playground and exercise this, for example, not only for example, for this hacking, but using different teamworks, for example, design thinking or this kind of stuff. That means you can play with this multi-agent against in this level. Okay, maybe you know this game. It's called Gandalf. It's from different company. If somebody was on the Codecon on the June or July in this year, I was presenting and using this game for this, how to hack or using the prompt to hack your LLM. But our marketing manager has good idea because he was also present on this Codecon, my presentation. I said, oh, Brani, looks, okay, we want our game. Okay, let's do it. As I said, several reasons. We want to learn and educate our people how to do it. And it's also very interesting for everybody, I think also from you. I hope that you have already tried not only two, but maybe more. By the way, it's allowed to do it also now if you want. That means I will provide for you some QR code. That means you can start on this. To use this game and understand how LLM works and how you can manipulate this. Don't get me wrong. I don't want to be manipulator on the people, but it's very interesting to understand how this, let's say, native language programming works in this case. That means this is our child. Here is some, I think, sorry for a small mistake. Here is pre-prod. This is not pre-prod. You should use just this data ACT game, not this pre link. But anyway, this link is accessible from the QR code. You can see this QR code on the monitors, not here, but outside on the corridors. And there are some laptops. You can also use it for this. Usually, for many people, goes through 7 levels, takes approximately 1 or maybe 1.5 hours to do it. That means it's not such a big deal for anybody. But it's interesting because with this communication with this LLM, you can understand how he's thinking. And many times, for example, guys also hear some smart guys try to use other LLMs from different phones, for example, ChatGPT, to compete again. And this was also interesting, but not everybody was successful, including ChatGPT. This was the example what I mentioned about this jailbreak. That's been using different coding. It's, as you can see, the resistant against this, but you can find different things. And what I want to mention, I forgot to mention, because I said it's the probability machine. That means when you have very low probability, when you do something with the low probability very often, very many times, usually you can reach it, you can access this kind of stuff, or you can make it real. And this is important to understand. For example, our competitors with this Gandalf strictly prohibit to use the same prompt again and again and again. We allow this because we want you, or we want to teach you or anybody other to understand how this LLM works. That means it's really probability machine. Okay, we have, let's say, some guides how to do it, but I don't want to mention because we have only one presentation afternoon lunch. That means it's, I think, not good to reveal everything now. That means I can give you my private number and we can make, no. no manage. But anyway, we are ready to help you, of course, and our students also. That means we have, let's say, some list of prompts how to hack it. But really, I think that you are so smart that you are able to do it with yourself, I hope. And more or less, from my perspective, everything. That means time for your question. Thank you.
Good. Thank you so much. Thank you for that talk. And we're going to dive straight into the questions. If you have some more, keep them coming. Yeah, they're right here. They're up there. Yeah, I'm going to read them. I know everybody can read, but it's an awkward silence. You stare at the screen, they stare at the screen. So it's the initial prompt companies put some restrictions. So what you do, convince the chatbot that those restrictions do not matter. How do you convince the chatbot?
Yes, definitely you need on the system put some constraints or some restrictions. This is a main, let's say, approach how to prevent these attacks. But of course, afterwards you need to use the specific tools like the safety checker because you cannot avoid everything. But it's very good, let's say, habit to put in the system prompt some constraints on the beginning.
Okay. How many times do you run the tests to accommodate variations in LLM responses?
Many times.
There you go. I hope that answers your question. We're going to go through this quick then. Best hack of an LLM. Can't we find like another thing for LLM because everybody's tripping over it? Best hack of an LLM you've ever seen so far, Smiley.
My understanding was this example from the Andrei Karpati to how to recipe for the napalm. Because this was really restricted. It's a weapon, it's dangerous. So it was very nice how the Andrei convinced the ChatGPT, okay, I'm a grandmother or godfather or whatever. Like the gangster, I'm Marlon Brando. No, I'm not. And give me your recipe or money or whatever.
Okay, I thought it was a cool one. Let's see if there's anything else. Look at my phone. Okay, then if no more questions, I would say put your hoodie on, give him a big round of applause, and do your gangster walk off stage.